thought we would start to begin with a bit of sharing about silos. Let me make this anonymous. I thought we would kind of just get into how many of us kind of recognize silos and maybe what silos look for us at the moment before we kind of get into the ideas for action stuff. So first of all, stars on screens, new people, I will explain how to do this, please don't worry. But do you recognize that silos have kind of got in the way of your development, either kind of currently or in the past? Give me a star on the screen if you're like, yes, I do think I can kind of see this issue of silos. I can recognize it's been a bit of a challenge for me in my career. Star on yes if you're like, star on no if you're like, no, in no way have silos got in the way of my growth. To do stars, Sarah has put this in the chat for you. If you go to the top of your Zoom screen, you will see view options. Click on that and then go annotate and then go stamp and then go star. No worries if you can't do it. It might be because of how you've joined. You can just let me know in chat. But overall, I would say most of us have kind of had some kind of association, frustration with this idea of silos. Oh, Reg, yeah, sure. Someone might sort out a link to last year's podcast, right? Yeah, so Reg, someone will probably pop that into the link for you. But if you ever can't find things, just go on our website and search the word AI or like AI and it'll come up. But we can I'm not sure why we haven't come back to you on that, but we'll get that sorted for you. Okay, so second question for you, everyone. I'm just going to remove your lovely stars. Hold that. Why can I not remove your stars? Where has that gone on Zoom? Interesting. Okay, let's go with that. Next question for you. So Sarah and I on the podcast, and don't worry if you didn't listen to it because we're kind of going to go into it a bit more depth, but Sarah and I on the podcast, we talked about the difference between silos. In fact, I'm going to change the color of these because it's not like the one's better than another. So let's just kind of change the color of these circles a minute. We talked about the difference between silos that get in the way of your job. So this is more where you've got like functions in a company that just like don't talk to each other. So I've had this before because I worked in sales and in marketing, and I've often found that sometimes there's like a mentality of like, if you're in marketing, you don't talk to that department, or so you kind of almost, you don't work together as collaboratively as you could do. This is what Sarah recognized. She'd kind of worked in quite a lot of organizations where she thinks people kind of get stuck in their function. They have a siloed view of an organization, and so they don't openly kind of connect and collaborate with other people. So your silos might be getting in the way of how you do your work today. When I was thinking about silos, my kind of brain actually went more to my career. I felt like silos had got in the way of my growth because they'd stopped me moving easily into other areas of the business. So I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, but I do remember particularly when I worked at Procter & Gamble, I went into Procter & Gamble and I worked in sales, and I really wanted to make a move into marketing, but that was like borderline impossible. Like they were like, no, you need to have come into marketing to work in marketing. And I'm sure that has changed now because it was a long time ago. But I actually had to leave because of that, because I didn't feel like I could make that move internally. Out of interest, when you're thinking about silos in terms of you and your development, do you recognize the job thing, like, people don't collaborate across in my company, or do you recognize the career thing more? Because Sarah and I really saw this like differently, and we ended up having not like a big debate about it, but a discussion about the role of silos. We came to the conclusion that both are valid in terms of how silos hold you back. What have we got here? I'm just looking at chat as well. What have we got here? A bit of both. Okay, I'm just catching up on chat. Okay, so kind of equal, everybody. Interesting. It's really funny because I think I'd never really, I don't know, I don't think silos have got in the way of my performance in my job. Probably because I just kind of go, well, I'm just going to meet a person. I just sort of just go, well, I'm just going to meet them. I'm just going to have a chat with them. And that doesn't sort of daunt me to do that. But I definitely have felt the career thing. But it seems as a group, we're kind of 50-50. Yeah, Helen, I think it is a bit to do with organizational cliques, organizational norms. We're going to get into some of those things. I don't know, you could probably debate, do big companies have this more than small companies? I'm not sure, but I guess the point is that when silos exist in an organization, they stop us being at our best in the job we're in today, for at least half the people here, and they limit our opportunities for our career in the future. So silos aren't good. It's the gist of it. And what we want to do is not just accept that, not just kind of go, well, that's just how it is, but actually try to work out, well, how do we grow beyond a silo? Like, we recognize that they exist. These are kind of real things that are happening in organizations, but we don't want them to be things that really hold us back. And so it's what can we do differently if we're seeing silos? Just going to read Tasha's comment in the chat. In my organization, it limits teams' ability to help other people. Okay, so that kind of job thing, lack of transparency. Yeah. What's Julie saying? It's funny because in my business, I'm applying expertise from silo to wider audience. Well, that's brilliant. Actually, I think, Julie, when we come on to that, I think extending your expertise because you maybe have knowledge of something that other people in your organization don't, I think is a really, really good way to grow beyond the silo. We haven't actually included that in the episode, but I think that is the purpose of PodPlus, everybody, is Julia sharing things like that. Extending your expertise, I think, is a really good thing. All right, well, let's get into some ideas for action. Let me move off your lovely stars a minute, and then we'll get into talking about some different things that we can do. So the first thing that Sarah and I explored was this idea of acting like an anthropologist. Got quite into the world of anthropology. I was doing a podcast this week with a guy called Chris Dalton, who works at Henley Business School, which is where I studied my MBA. And I mentioned to him, he was like, Helen, what do you want to learn more about on the podcast? And I was like, oh, anthropology. Turns out he's like an expert in anthropology and has since sent me loads of stuff. So it just goes to show that when you mention what you'd like to learn, people are much more able to help you. Anyway, having got into the world of anthropologists look at culture and characteristics. So they are observing the world around them to gain a better understanding of how the world works. And what we are suggesting is that you take this idea of anthropology, observing characteristics and cultures, and you apply that to your organization. Oh, Sam, fascinating. Send me some stuff afterwards. I've probably not got time to do a degree, but I would quite like to do some stuff. Anyway, we're going to extend this idea of anthropology. Sam, feel free to build on this with your expertise. Extend it to us. And I've got some curious questions for you to explore culture and characteristics of your company. So we've got 4 questions. And I thought we might answer some of them together, and then we can learn about each other from the worlds that we work in. All right. So first one for acting like an anthropologist. Your company in a word, everybody. Should you not wish for that to be public, you can message me, Helen Tupper, and I will say the word, and I will not mention your name. But anyone who's brave enough, your company in a word, like if you were to sum up the characteristics and culture of your company in a word, what would you say, everybody? Head into chat and let me know. One word. Compliance. What else have we got? Relaxed. Hi, Steve. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Hi, Steve. Collaborative, expert, energy, empowering, complex. Oh, Rachel, cautious collaboration. It's 2. Okay, I'll take the first one. Cautious. Well, community focused. Community. You can have community. Restrictive, cautious, human, stagnant. Interesting. Okay, so this is starting to kind of explore our organization. Inclusive, overly complicated. Caroline, I'll give you that because you've hyphenated it. Open door, eager, firefighting. Okay, so we'll kind of get a sense of our companies. Another question for you, everybody. We talked about understanding like where your organization's income, or maybe if you're a charity, kind of impact, where that comes from. My question to you, and we'll do start on screen here, is do you think you could describe to me how the income in your organization, or impact if you're in a charity, how that happens? Like, could you talk to me about, in my organization, this is how we generate income? Green if you're like, yeah, absolutely, I know how we kind of make money, I know how we make an impact, I could talk about it with confidence. Or red if you're like, kind of not. I'd probably get unstuck pretty quick if you asked me to talk about it. I know some charities have income too, but also I used to be a trustee for a charity. I kind of like, I feel like the angle is kind of more impact. I didn't want to just talk from a commercial perspective about it. Government funds and rental. Oh, Rockall straight in there. Okay. So let's do another one, everybody. Power dynamics. What do you think? Could you explain the power dynamics in your organization? Like, you know, when you have like impact influence matrix, could you kind of do a kind of a matrix and plot people's names on it of impact influence? Also, just while you're letting me know in chat whether you could or couldn't do that. I once made a bit of a mistake doing this with a team. So I was with a team in a large company, and I was trying to help them map their stakeholder relationships. And so we drew an impact influence like matrix on a whiteboard, and we plotted people's names. So, this person in the organization's got high impact, high influence, and literally like wrote their name down. And obviously the opposite of that is people who have low impact and low influence. Who should walk by that room? Some of the people whose names. So just be careful if you're doing the impact influence matrix and with names in a public place. No companies too big. I think if you're kind of being an anthropologist in your organization, it is kind of useful to just sort of press pause on being busy, which we all are, and just think about, where is the impact and influence? Who's got that level of authority and control in my company? It's interesting to do. Yes, power dynamic, Steve. Good. One more, everyone. Rituals and rhythms. What if you were telling me about some of the rituals and rhythms of your organization? What would you spot and what would you share with me? If I was like, oh, talk to me about some of your rituals and rhythms. What happens in your organization? Chaos. What's this? So we have like win of the week, for example. That's one of our rituals. We have a Squiggly staycation. That is one of our rituals. What would you say, everyone? What are some of your rituals and rhythms? Oh, Caroline, curiosity conversations happening in all staff meetings every month, a residential once a year. Lovely. What else? Drinks in the training bar once a period. I mean, that's, we talk about making learning last, Kerry. I'm not sure drinks in the training bar would help me make learning last. It'd make learning a lot of fun. Safety focus, everyone goes home safely. That's interesting. I used to work for BP, and we always used to start meetings with a safety moment. Somebody once reported me for wearing wide leg trousers, and apparently it was a near miss that I wore wide leg trousers and stilettos. Anyway, it's a fun ritual. Yeah. I didn't respond very positively to it. Lunch and shows. Show the thing you're working on every week. Oh, I love that, Onyeka. Also, Onyeka is going to be on hand at next week's Squiggly Careers Live to do some like social capturing for us in the moment. Very excited. Thanks, Onyeka. Positivity meeting. Neither could we. Well, go back to that one, Hayley. A positive meeting on a Monday morning. Everyone brings a positive from the weekend to motivate them. Hayley, I'm loving that. Sarah be like, I don't think Sarah, like, Helen, it's Monday. I'm not sure we need to wake the day with a positivity moment. I might make a try. Once fell under my desk thanks to my super trendy one. Well, yes, Kimberly, there may have been some truth in it, but I liked the trouser and heel thing. Cambridge University, we've got an organisation of sense. Freya, that's kind of the point, isn't it? I actually think that if you're going to be a sort of an organizational anthropologist, I think your insights have more perspective if you sort of understand what this looks like in another organization too. Do you know what I mean? Like if I might think, well, everybody does a positivity moment on a Monday. Oh, well, everyone reports people for wearing wide leg trousers. You sort of can't put your insights into perspective until you understand what other companies do. So maybe kind of buddying up a little bit with somebody else and doing a bit of a knowledge swap on some of these areas could just be interesting. If nothing else, it's a kind of curious conversation. So idea number one is to act like an anthropologist. The reason this helps you is because when you are stuck in a silo, you are not necessarily being proactively curious. And a lot of these insights, like if it's not relevant to your role, you're probably not learning about it. And lots of this stuff might not be immediately relevant to your role. You might not need to know about the power dynamics in another department, but actually this will help you to have a broader understanding of your business. You can put yourself in that position and not wait for someone else to do it. Academic is run away and hide at the... What could we call it, Freya? How, everyone, let's help Freya. Imagine you're in an academic institution. We're trying to introduce the idea of positivity moments on a Monday. What would we call it that academics might kind of get into a bit more? What do you think? A learning moment, a weekend review? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. That's a nice thing. How could you it's like a Trojan horse, Freya. How could we get the positivity moment in? Well, I'm trying to think about someone like Martin Seligman. Is there a way we can get he was an academic. He wrote a book on positivity. Learned optimism. Can we get any of those moments in? Serotonin uplift, Kimberly. I'm not sure they're going to go for a serotonin uplift. We could try. Okay, everyone, let's move on. Let's move on. Second idea for action was about building a bridge. So this is the idea here that in order for us to kind of get out of our silo, one of the ways that we can proactively do that is we can be a bit of a bridge builder. And a couple of things to do here is identify an adjacency. So you, rather than kind of taking a leap, so let me think what that looked like. If the last corporate job that I was in was in marketing at Microsoft, a really big leap might have been me working in kind of me trying to build a bridge with, trying to think, I guess the finance team, because that's quite a big leap. A more adjacent team would have been the sales team or the product team. Like they're teams that aren't too far away from my day to day. So when you're building a bridge, you're not looking to kind of leap to a completely different world. You're looking to build a bridge to a function that's quite close to the one that you're in. So let me know in chat, what would be, depending on what function you're in at the moment, what do you think is an adjacent function to the one that you're in today? So yeah, for me, when I was in marketing, I think it probably would have been sales. When I was in kind of innovation, it probably would have been one of the tech teams that I was in. HR and L&D, yeah, really nice one there. Finance and IT, yeah. Legal and finance, great, you've got it. Customer support, so customer success, development, procurement. Brilliant. So these adjacencies, these are the ones that I'm talking about. It's a bit easier to build a bridge to an adjacent function rather than one that feels quite far away. It's not to say don't do that, but actually we're trying to make this stuff easier, right? And it's a bit easier if you're kind of looking at an adjacent function first. So find your adjacent function. There may be more than one, and then what you're going to do is look for shared projects. So maybe both functions have got a similar priority. It could be cost cutting, could be something that needs to be kind of delivered by a certain time. Shared problems, maybe you've both got I don't know, there's resource constraints, or there's an upcoming I don't know, there's an upcoming sort of initiative that has to happen, like shared problems or shared passions. Maybe you're connecting with someone in a different function because you're both kind of passionate about, I mean, learning and development. That has always been a way that I have built a bridge, because that's what I'm particularly passionate about. So I've always said, oh, why don't we share learning? Why don't we come together for a team meeting? I'll bring this external speaker in, and why don't you bring your team to it too? And then we can, we can invite more people into it. So because my passion's learning, I've often used that to build a bridge. I'm going to come back to CD Robinson's point in a second. Let's get onto that. We can maybe do a bit of community support for that question. But out of interest, who's already done this? I know that some people in this community will have already done a bit of bridge building. What I'm interested in is kind of what you did. So, I said, oh, as a bit of a bridge builder, I would use learning and development and sort of bring teams together around like shared learning. What have you done, everybody? Because I think you'll have lots of ideas that we can learn from. How have you done some bridge building in an organization where you've maybe brought different functions together? You've kind of created that sort of collaboration and connection we were talking about, either through a project or through solving a problem, or because you've got a shared passion. Used an away day to bring together other teams and share strategies. Really nice, Sally. Thank you. I came along. Oh, loads of ideas now. Sam says I came along to the practical sports team's regular meeting. Yeah, attending someone else's regular meeting. I've done that before, like a bit of a swap. So sit in someone else's, the different functions, regular meeting, and take the learning back to your function, and then they do the same to you. So you kind of get more knowledge shared. Really good if silos are getting in the way of your job. Naomi pulled together a cross-functional focus group for a potential project. That's nice, Naomi. So it's not actually committing to a cross-functional project, but having a cross-functional focus group before you start. Really nice idea. Got workshops, communities of practice. That's a great idea. Actually, Freya, I know lots of companies that do that. So lots of organizations have sort of got the same functions, particularly global ones, the same functions represented in different kind of either different divisions of the organization or different countries that the organization is in. And having communities of practice or communities of excellence is a really good way to create connection. So you could have like a project manager one, for example, or a finance one, or whatever it is. Shared projects and learning. Brilliant. Loads of lovely ideas here, everybody. I'm scanning through them all. Coffee roulette. Yes, actually. So coffee roulette pairing, there's tools that you can look for online for this that will kind of match people up. So you know, put all the names of people in and it will just randomly match them up. So, you know, I will go and have a coffee with Celia, for example, because it's been auto-generated for me. Quite a nice way of sparking some curious conversations. A couple of people doing loads of ideas, everyone. Might be worth saving the chat here, everybody's. I think you can all do that. So normally like 3 dots at the top, because there's loads of lovely ideas for you. I guess the headline on this is create, don't wait. Okay, and I know we say this quite a lot, but it's really important. These sorts of things aren't going to be presented to you. No one's going to go, oh, here's a fun idea. Why don't you lead it? And these are things that you look for. So you are the person that's sparking and starting this, because everyone else is pretty stuck in a silo. So the point is, if you want to grow beyond the silo, you're probably got to do something that other people aren't doing. So we kind of really want to take a create, don't wait approach to this. Last but not least, actually, I just want to say this really quickly. I came across this idea in an article and I just really liked it. I don't really know why it stuck with me so much, but being a purple person, I think it's just, obviously I like alliteration and I think it's quite visual. But the idea here is that functions, imagine like functions have colors. So, you know, I mentioned like marketing, sales. So maybe I'm in marketing, that's like the red team, and then you're in sales and you're like the blue team. And the idea is that I'm a purple person because I'm the person that connects the two, and I kind of create something unique because of it. And I just like this idea of how often are you being a purple person? How often are you bringing sort of different functions together? It just sort of stuck with me, as an idea. Yeah, glad, Freya, I'm glad it did too. What does that say? Where we had Glynis, I'm not sure what blower range. We have blower range. Oh, blorange. Oh, sorry, slow brain. What's blurring? It's so funny. So I do Peloton. I'm being very divergent today, everyone. Anyway, I do Peloton, and it's really funny. Like when the instructor, for anyone else who does this, when the instructors are like, I don't know why I need to look like I'm riding the bike, but you get it. When the instructors are like doing the bike and they're cycling, and they're like reading out all the people that are live, sometimes they make the funniest mistakes because they're obviously just trying to like cycle and sweat and read the people's names out at the same time. And sometimes they'll read it just like I did there, like, blower range, welcome blower range to the ride today. And then they're like, and then suddenly you can see like the flash of realization where they're like, oh, blue orange, yes, welcome to blue orange. Like, anyway, that was like me. All right, moving on. Speak space away from your silo. So the point here is that if you are stuck in a silo and you're aware of it because you want to do something different, it's probably feeling quite frustrating. Like it's not that fun if you're like, but I want to go and work in a different function, but I want to be a more collaborative person in this company. Like it's not that fun when you feel like a silo is making you get stuck. And so finding space away from your silo can do 2 things. It can help you to develop your skills. So you're not being restricted by kind of the role in the silo that you're in today. It can help you develop skills. It can also help you have some new status. Both of these things are useful in growing beyond your silo. So if I give you my example, and then I thought maybe we'd just share some ideas of anything that you've done where you've kind of developed your skills and status away from your role. You've got space out of a silo. So if I think, I mean, I've done this a few times because I've been siloed a few times and I'm impatient, but I think starting Amazing If is probably the best example I've got of this. I was in Virgin, and the only reason I felt stuck in a silo in Virgin was because Virgin was pretty small. I worked at Virgin head office, and there weren't actually, unless I wanted to be an investment banker, and I would have been rubbish at that, there weren't that many things that I could do. And so actually me working on Amazing If helped me to develop my skills in a way that I would have never done in my day job. And it definitely gave me a new source of status that I wouldn't have got in the role that I was doing. So when I was coming back to the organization, the fact that I was suddenly seen as this entrepreneurial person who'd started a thing, who knew? That would have never been a status I think I would have really created in the job that I was in. And so that can give you a bit of confidence. It can help you have new conversations with people. Having space away from your silo also just makes you feel a bit better. You're feeling frustrated or a bit stuck, just kind of, rather than like pushing and pushing and pushing on a company that feels like it's putting a wall up, sometimes just go and put in all of that energy in a different place. It can kind of help you find a way around the silo. What else have you done that have helped you get some space away from your silo? Like, let's just end on any things that we have done that have been really helpful so people can learn from. I love the idea that Kerry said there. I trained as an internally accredited coach. I was able to expand my skill set and support lots of people. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's a great way. So you would have got all that passion because you loved learning this new thing. And suddenly, because you've got this skill, you could then create new connections that might not have been so easy without it. Brilliant example. Thanks, Kerry. Thanks, Sam. So board memberships. Yeah, actually, good point, Anyeka. I think I did the same thing with my when I was the trustee of that charity. That helped me as well. And also just, I don't know, just sometimes it's quite nice just not feel frustrated by the day to day. Job shadowing, great idea, Michaela. Shadow, haven't done it myself. Ooh, Caroline. I mean, that sounds like a good challenge. Volunteering, great. In the last 2 minutes, everyone, I'm going to scan back to that question we had. I think it was a question from CD someone. I'll get back to it, that said, like, what do you do if your manager's not open to bridge building? I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the question. I know that there was a question and I said we'd come back to it. Anyone got any ideas? Want to build bridges? You want to kind of, connect different functions? Your managers are a bit, they're quite happy in their silo. They're quite maybe sort of bit hoardy vibes. What are we doing if our manager, sorry, if I'm trying to find the name of the person, I can't find it, but it was CD something. What would we do? Thank you, CD Robinson. Thank you. What would we do if you've got a manager who's basically being a bit of a, the opposite of a bridge builder? Doing it secretly? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, it's worked for me, but I've always done that, the better to seek forgiveness thing. I remember when I was in Microsoft, like when I joined Microsoft with Squiggly Careers, like I was already doing this side project. So most people knew what they were buying when they employed me. Some people were a bit more like, should she really be doing this thing on the side? And so I decided that I would set up an internal, I would basically find side project advocates. And so I basically found all these other people that had side projects too. And we ran a session, like how to start a side project. I'm not sure they were that keen on me doing it, but I was like, look, we're all doing it. I'm not the only one, and it's really good. And then you can't stop me. Now, that's just one approach, everybody. But I am probably more of the seek forgiveness, not permission kind of person. I also think work out what's in it for your manager. That would be my other thing. That's probably a slightly different tactic. Can you connect what you're doing to something your manager cares about? Like, how does it help solve a problem for them? How does it make them look good? That might be a slightly more strategic way around it. Okay, everybody. See you soon. Next week's podcast, Why Your Diary Doesn't Lie. Dun, dun, dun. We thought we'd go with an intriguing title. I don't know if it's an intriguing podcast. Listen and see. Listen and see. Back with you all very soon. Hope it has been useful, everybody. Take care. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.